Does Charles Cross out of Mississippi State really have a shot to be the #1 overall pick in the upcoming NFL draft? Let's take a look.
Wyatt gets the ball. Wyatt backs to throw. Wyatt looks. Fires toward the end zone. Pass caught for touchdown by Matthew Butler.
This video is sponsored by Mississippi Land Bank. Visit them online at mslandbank.com and by Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. Go with the home team. In this video, I'm going to give you some information. First, what draft experts, mock draft experts are saying about Charles Cross and his status as of right now. 2, we're going to watch some film, do a little film study, some plays to show you examples of why he's such a highly rated prospect. And 3, and this is really cool, I think you're going to like it, we're going to talk to some other experts, a former first-round draft pick at offensive tackle, Matt Stinchcomb, who's now an analyst with ESPN, and Charles Cross's position coach at Mississippi State, Mason Miller. And by the way, if you want to skip ahead to any of that, just check the chapter markers here on YouTube and go right ahead. Charles Cross, just a sophomore, all right? So 3 years in college, and the last 2, as kind of redshirt freshman, sophomore, really were starters in the Mike Leach air raid offense, dropping back in pass protection about 50 times a game. He's 6'5", 310 pounds, excellent feet and athletic ability for a guy his size. His teammates nicknamed him Sweet Feet. I've seen that on Twitter some. This week we started to see a few more, mock drafts, draft experts with really high grades on Charles Cross. The most recent, Seth Galina, put out his mock draft this week in his top 10, he shifted around, and he had Charles Cross at #1 overall going to the Jaguars. Stingley at 2, and then Hutchinson, who's kind of the #1 prospect, had him going 3 to the Texans, but they had Charles Cross #1. It's just one mock draft, Seth Galina over at Pro Football Focus. Now that same service, Pro Football Focus, if you look at their big board, overall ranking of prospects, they have Hutchinson the #1 rated prospect, and then #2 is Thibodeau, the pass rusher out of Oregon. 3, Kyle Hamilton, 4, Stingley out of LSU. And then at #5, Evan Neal, the top offensive tackle, 5th overall prospect. And then they have Charles Cross rated #6 overall as a prospect, 6'5", 310, just behind Evan Neal, another offensive tackle. If you also look at it recently, Bucky Brooks over at the NFL Network, he does a mock draft, a recent one that he had back in January. He pointed out that he thinks the Giants are going to go tackle at later in the draft. Neal going #1 overall to Jacksonville, them taking a tackle, then Hutchinson and Thibodeau, 2 pass rushers off the board at 2 and 3. Then the Jets at 4 going with the offensive tackle out of NC State, Ekwonu. And at #5, Brooks has the Giants taking Charles Cross and the 3rd offensive tackle off the board in the first 5 picks. And a lot of people think it'll be the Panthers, including the Panthers themselves, some of them later in the first round, the top 10. If you look at Panthers.com recently, they talked to several experts, from the NFL Network to guys at ESPN, and they all line up. They think the Panthers are taking Charles Cross later in that first round in those top 10 picks. You can find multiple guys who said that, and that's at Panthers.com. And then just to give you one more example, if you look at Josh Edwards at CBS, this is less than a month ago, Edwards put his mock draft out there. He's another example of someone who thinks that Charles Cross may go #1 overall to the Jaguars. That's what he picked there. And he said that Evan Neal is not the unanimous top offensive tackle. Really, it boils down to who you read and who's heard what evaluation from which team. And, this we do know, it's for sure. Charles Cross is one of the top 3 offensive tackles in this draft. Everybody agrees on that. The disagreement is just, do they have Evan Neal out of Alabama #1? Do they have Ekwonu out of NC State #1? Or do they have Charles Cross out of Mississippi State at #1? What's going to happen, you get that outside angle, he's going to give him head fake in and then try to get out and under. And it's a pretty good effort by the defensive end for A&M. Watch him. And again, what are you going to do when you're not perfect, when you don't completely gobble a guy up? What are you going to do? Are you athletic enough to stay with him, keep your quarterback from getting hit? You watch this move right here. See the #8 for A&M, little head fake left. Cross is not off balance, but then that little dip to the outside, he kind of gets his head around him. But now what? Do you just blatantly hold? Do you lose him altogether and get your guy hit and get a sack? What do you do? And I think it's a pretty good job to keep his feet under him. But right now he's still able to push him down the field some, right? So this side, even though his head's behind, that arm is still able to kind of get him going this way. Can you get him deep? And right here, you got him. You got him pushed. The quarterback stepped up. You're in a pretty good position. You've recovered okay. End's going inside, already kind of giving you that look. He's tight and then going to come around. Pretty simple rep, pretty simple twist, but they hand it off pretty well. You see him inside, stay with him, shove him down there. Here comes a twist. Pick him up outside, and Cross does a nice job. Now the other twist comes free and flushes the quarterback, but Cross, that's a pretty good rep right there. All right, Matt Stinchcomb, first-round draft pick as an offensive tackle out of Georgia. He's now an analyst on ESPN. And Matt was kind enough to sit down and actually watch some film of Charles Cross with me and with you here on this video, so check it out.
So you see what's a stand-up edge rusher for Charles Cross at left tackle here. So that guy's you're not thinking he's in coverage on this bunch formation by any stretch. So you've got Auburn, you've got your designated rusher. Regardless of what the protection scheme is here, you're likely singled up on the edge rush guy. And what Auburn does a great job, if you roll it, watch that stand-up rusher time this snap. Mm-hmm. It's pretty remarkable. He's in the neutral zone just about as it's snapped. Mm-hmm. And what's impressive is at left tackle, or at any position, frankly, when the guy that you're blocking has got a step on you, especially right off the snap, the first thing you want to do is turn. That is the worst thing you can do, but that's the first thing that you want to do. Look at that edge rushers already. So as Cross is getting his first kick, that first kick backwards out of his pass set, and that rusher is already past the line of scrimmage and right on top of him, there's no panic. Really quiet feet, never turns his shoulders, gets his outside hand up and in without being early, because he can't move before the snap. The defender can. He stayed square without panicking, opening, and bailing, because when you open and turn your shoulders, you shorten that corner for the rusher. Now he's got a free run at your quarterback, and instead, Cross does a great job of staying square, got that outside hand in, and you see here, he runs the arc. Rogers does a good job of feeling it on the backside, but this get-off is elite by the Auburn defender. You see Cross is still in his set as the defender is crossing the neutral zone. Cross hadn't moved that outside foot, not because he's late, but because he can't.
Right.
It's the fact that he wasn't even early is impressive. But the fact that he doesn't turn and bail, that just shows that he's repped this a lot. That's great discipline. He didn't panic. He keeps that edge wide, and then he runs that arc to where there's a nice pocket for Rogers to play with right here.
And, this little shuffle, the little side shuffle right here, he's moving laterally. To me, too, Matt, does it mean that he's got a lot of confidence in his athletic ability to shuffle laterally? Because he's not getting out of position and turning and running because he's afraid he's going to beat him right here. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great point. From the reps that I've watched of Charles Cross, his issue will more likely be the power rushers when he has to anchor down, when they're trying to squeeze the pocket.
A lot of times you'll see a twist where, one's coming across and maybe the nose is coming out, or vice versa. But this is one where your angle, and this backside 31 is coming across two gaps around the other side, and he sees it and picks it up. So
yeah, so you see how tight this edge defender is with his hand on the ground, where that's a really, it's a three-man front, so that's a little bit different, right? You got the three designated rushers most likely, but he's pretty tight to his shoulder. And so because of that, there's a chance you can feel whether or not that defender is kind of leaning inside. It just is called a sixth sense as much as anything else. But I think what Cross does a good job of is he just kind of sets in his shoes, meaning, he doesn't take a big, deep set. Mm-hmm. He stays square. So he's not trying to get depth really right here. He's going to ride that defender, make sure that he's in and secured on that left guard. So you see him right there where he felt that all the way, which was a good pre-snap read, way to anticipate that twist. Now the left guard does not overtake that defensive end. He doesn't do a great job of it until late, and Cross hangs, and then he comes off as late as he possibly can for that looper. Now you have to know, and he's played plenty enough snaps to know that if the guy over me, if he comes inside, somebody has to come outside. Somebody has to be that contained rusher. Even though we know Rodgers isn't a big runner, it doesn't matter. You still have to account for that edge of the pocket. So he knew something was coming. But what I like so much here is he hangs until he has to leave. And frankly, he needed to hang longer than he probably should have because he did a good job. The left guard needs to feel that twist earlier, knowing that he's got pressure coming from his outside shoulder so that his left tackle can leave sooner. But Cross does a great job of feeling, I got to hang. I got to stay here longer. Because if he leaves earlier, 47, it looks like, he's going to slip that outside shoulder of the left guard. But he stays till he's able to recover and leaves us at the last minute. And that's the difference in that side of the pocket.
Another expert on the football side that I talked to is Mason Miller. Miller is the offensive line coach at Mississippi State. So he's been Charles Cross's position coach for the last 2 years. And I talked to him about Charles recently on my radio show.
I know I'm a little biased.
Right.
I think he and the Neal kid from Alabama are the top 2 tackles in the draft. I think Charles' best football's in front of him. He is, what I've told some of these guys down here is that I equate, kind of how do I stack him against the guys that we have coached at Washington State and here that are in the league? And I think he's the best one. And I tell people all the time, as a person, if there were 10,000 more Charles Crosses in the world, it'd be a better place. So I think the combine will be good for him. I think he's going to show his athletic ability, and it's really going to blow people out of the water. The things that he can do that kind of look effortless in every pass set, every run block, everything he does, it's going to look effortless, and that's going to show him what we already knew. I mean, he's a special player, special kid, great human being.
A speed rusher for Alabama, very talented player in 15 for Alabama. He's going to try to speed rush on that outside, take that deep and wide arc and try to come around to the quarterback. So just watch the feet of Charles Cross, how he gets him moving and doesn't get caught up, never panics, shuffle, and just locks him up, keeps him out of there. Again, quarterback's far away because he's going to his right and the back stepping up in that gap with a player coming. But if you just keep your eyes on the feet of Cross, this is a guy who, this is like starting a sprint. I mean, he's in a 2-point stance and he's sprinting as fast as he can get off the ball, try to get 5-6 upfield. And he's got quick enough feet to he shuffle, and stays in, locked in with him. Doesn't give the angle there, doesn't get beat to the outside, just stays right in front of him with shuffling those feet. And it's really good footwork, quick footwork. Sweet feet for a big guy. All right, here he is against Texas A&M, and he's just going to get a straight one-on-one outside pass rush. And it's one of those, showing you this for a reason, because it may not be one of his best reps in a couple of aspects. It's pretty obvious, and this is a good start. Like, he's on time with the snap and hands and feet in good position, but watch him kind of get popped right here and knocked off his balance. If I show you in real time, boom, you see that? Right there, he kind of lets the guy get into him with a little bit of leverage underneath and actually gets knocked back. He's basically airborne right here, but he's got a good wide base and he's able to recover. So he's getting knocked back a little bit right here and leaning back, but he's able to recover. And that's why, some guys you can show a bunch of good reps, but what about when they have to recover and it doesn't go well? This is one where he's getting it taken to him right here, but then he gets his feet back under him. He's got that lean going. He does not separate from the rusher and then ties him up. And this is just, again, to me, it's like out here you're showing what if things don't go well, then what? Well, he's recovered really nicely right here, I think, and keeps his quarterback from getting hit where he can get it out of there. It's a pretty good rep. So if you look examples across an entire season, you're going to see a lot of good. You're going to see some that's not as good. But what you see with Charles Cross is extreme consistency. He almost never has a bad play, or certainly hasn't had a bad game. Let's watch a little more with Matt Stinchcomb. Here's one of Cross where it's not in pass pro. They're going to try to screen to his side and give him a chance to run downfield and go have a little fun, away from the line of scrimmage, right? One of those dream play calls. And I'll point him out here, show it, and then I'm going to rewind it back to the start and let you talk about it.
Yeah, that's going to show on film a lot. He's got pretty darn good finish, and those coaches are going to love that. But to me, it's a combination of things. One, he shows his athleticism at the line of scrimmage to get in, up, and out on this edge rusher. He's got to get inside of that edge rusher. Then he's got to get back out right now. It's not that easy at his size. And even if this wasn't a kill shot, so this play is kind of negated because we lose out wide at receiver here, it looks like, where they're able to get upfield quickly. But Cross, his explosion right here, and look, this is an ear hole shot. This guy, I'm pretty sure that defender did not feel him coming. He thinks he's going to go, he's triggering right now to try to get upfield and make a play now pass. Never saw him. But what I like is that Cross gets his head across his body. This isn't a block in the back. This is a true ear hole shot. And when you get these are dream blocks. You got to finish them, and he does.
The play that, in my mind, stuck out when I was like, all right, but we're playing Kentucky, and we run the ball to the right, and he cut off the 3 technique and sat down and basically was behind the guy, and people don't know what that means. The guy had 2 feet to Charles's right, and Charles crossed the guy's face, put his butt on the guy's hip, and sat him down. And we ended up getting a big gain, and I literally said on the headset, I said, that kid just made a lot of money. To do that is pretty special.
This is what we know. Charles Cross is going to make a lot of money for a long time playing the game of football if he can stay healthy. And it's a virtual guarantee that he's going to be a first rounder. And most agree it's pretty much a guarantee that he'll go somewhere in those top 10 picks and that he's one of the 3 best offensive tackles in this draft. It's just a matter of, is he the first or second or third, and who takes who at what spot according to their need and their own evaluations as a team. Whether or not he slides up to number 1 overall and is taken by Jacksonville with that top pick remains to be seen, but it seems like there's a chance of that, and that the upcoming NFL Combine is going to go a long way towards determining that. All right, there you go. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you did, would you do me a favor? Maybe share it with someone else who might enjoy that. But subscribe to the YouTube channel, like it, and share it on Facebook. Really appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one.